Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your guy Rudy SKC, and welcome back to another video. My voice is absolutely gone right now, so I apologize for this. I also haven't posted in a while, so apologize if today's video is a little rough around the edges, but let's start at this, man. There are 365 days in a year, and just one day in that 365 days has the ability to make or break the rest of the 364. And ladies and gentlemen, that particular day was today. We had the Michigan Wolverines versus the Ohio State Buckeyes in the game, the greatest college football rivalry, the greatest rivalry in all of sports. I don't care who you ask. And it played out in the Big House in Ann Arbor today. And it was a massacre. It was an absolute massacre. And look, guys, if there's anything I'll tell you, I have the utmost respect for this rivalry and honoring this rivalry. And I will tell you, more than anything in the world, losing sucks. And it's gonna suck. And it's gonna sting for a long time. There's no other way around it, man. Especially when it's a gut punch like that. Losing sucks. It absolutely sucks. I forget how it feels to lose to that team. And especially in that manner. And it's just, there's nothing worse in the world. The last 2 days, my entire house has been filled with the victors, nonstop, running 24/7. And we come out and we go out like that. And it's absolutely the worst. If you bleed maize and blue, this is gonna hurt and this is gonna sting for a while. And it should for a long time. Because that's just what this rivalry means when you're on this side. Okay, and look, we have a couple things to talk about today. So again, this is a beatdown of epic proportions. Ohio State won this 27-9. Like I mentioned, my voice is completely gone, as you can tell. But as normal in this rivalry, the team that really throws a haymaker out first ends up losing. We kind of seen that in the past in Michigan Ohio State game, whether it's 2022. Even going back to some of the earlier years, I can't remember exactly, late 2010s, at least since I started watching this game. Definitely the team that punches first, the other team the team that's able to respond to that punch, if they're able to do that, they generally tend to win this game. And that's what happened today. Look, I'm very pissed off. This is probably the worst thing that could have happened. This is like the worst Michigan sports week of all time, to be honest. I feel like I've said that a couple times already this year, but legitimately this is the worst Michigan sports week of all time. Let's be honest though, this was the practical result, okay? Ohio State is far and away the best team in the country. If you play this game 100 times, something like what you saw on the field probably happens 80 to 90 times, give or take. Last year, I would have said, what happened, whatever happened, if you play that 100 times, that probably is happening 1 out of 100 times, 2024. But this year, 80 to 90% of the time, that's probably exactly what the result you were going to get. And, early on, Ohio State, they were not able to establish the run. Michigan did a very good job of that on the outside. And, we had our safeties in the box. We were daring them to beat us deep. And then they did. Julian Sayin was absolutely shredding the Michigan defense today, and we'll talk about them in a bit. But, I think the key stat is right here. It came down to the third and fourth down the money downs, right? It came down to the money downs between Michigan and Ohio State. On third and fourth down, Ohio State on third and fourth down, they were 12 of 20, more than 50%. If you want to know what Michigan was, they were 1 for 10%. That's where you lose the game, man. This team didn't score a single touchdown this entire game. So, Ohio State, they executed when they needed to, and they deserved to win this game. They absolutely dominated Michigan on all fronts, but really, it was all set up by their pass game and their outside receivers. And look, the Jeremiah Smith play, it's going to be highly contested. Look, guys, maybe, yes, he bobbled it, should have been a touchback. I absolutely agree with that. If you take a look at Twitter, you can go on anywhere, you can see that he clearly bobbled the ball before he crossed the plane. It was a touchback. I'm not going to harpoon on that too much for the single fact that, again, this team was 1 for 10 on third and fourth down, and they didn't score a single touchdown all game. we did not deserve to win this game. Okay, let's keep that 100% honest. Like I said, you play the game 100 times, you probably win 80 to 90 times. So that's not the deciding factor in this game at all. Let's keep the whole referees, making bad calls, things out of it, right? Because maybe I was at the game, so I don't know. Maybe there's some bad calls that went the other way. You never know how these things play out. I'm not going to harp on that too much. I think offensively for Michigan, losing Bredesen and Marshall was definitely important, and obviously Haynes too, but especially in the run game, I think they were at a huge advantage when it comes to their biggest strength, and that's no offense to Bryson Kuzdal. But again, I think the Bredesen loss was huge. And early on in the game, the first few drives, you were actually able to get the run game going. But then when you needed to make drives, Ohio State basically dared you to throw the ball, and we couldn't. So, but again, like I said, losing Bredesen and Marshall, absolutely huge. Running the ball is Michigan's identity, and that definitely gutted us. But let's talk about this. So Ohio State, they were absolutely shredding us through the air after Julian Sayin threw that intercept. By the way, in the student section, we were absolutely going crazy after that happened. But he settled in. Michigan was doing a good job stopping Ohio State on first and second down, but Julian Sayin, he kept converting these third downs. Moving the chains, moving the team across the field. I can't tell you how many times Ohio State marched down the field on us. Probably an annoying amount of times, but when the snow started really setting in that late second quarter, halftime, getting into that third quarter, that's when Ohio State's ground game began to wear on Michigan, and the Michigan defense folded like some lawn chairs. They definitely folded like some lawn chairs. And again, I have a whole segment planned out for this defense, but it's kind of something that we expected given what we've seen all year. So again, I'm not surprised at all. It was the practical result. Okay, it was the practical result of everything that happened. And I think once Ohio State got the ground game going, basically game over. And like I said, I think the defensive players, they were struggling with traction. You could see a lot of them, like they were slipping and sliding on the snow trying to tackle. The Ohio State running backs, whether it was Bo Jackson or I forget the name of the other guy, but they were slipping on there, and Ohio State was absolutely the most physical team, and the streak continues. I mean, whichever team wins the rushing battle, what is it? Did the streak start in like 2002 or what? So does that make it now 20, 23, 24 straight years where the team that's won the rushing battle wins the game? That's absolutely true, but again, I don't think running the ball is why Ohio State won this game. It's because they used the pass to set up the run. They forced Michigan to take their safeties out of the box and defend over the top. And then when the snow set in, the linebackers and defensive linemen slipping and sliding all over. Ohio State, more physical team, knock you in the teeth. We didn't have an answer. And it was embarrassing. And like I said, it's a gut punch. It's a gut punch. But regardless whether that was the practical result or not, there's like one thing in this game that probably over everything else ticked me off. And if you're trying to clip this video for something right now, what I'm about to say, definitely something to clip. Okay. So I want to address something here that it absolutely made me sick to my stomach, okay? And it's the fact that Ohio State fans took over that stadium, guys. I mean, I was sitting there. I got there 2-3 hours before kickoff. As soon as the gates opened 10, we were down there, student section. And man, I'm getting nervous because I'm seeing these waves of red, and I'm thinking, hey, maybe, they got in a little early. They're trying to get to the, get up close, see the players, see everyone warming up and stuff. But as we're getting closer and closer to game 10, they're just staying there, and there's more and more coming in across the field. And there are pictures online you can see, especially on a Michigan field goal. I mean, I want to know the exact stats. There was a lot of red in that stadium. And as someone who was born and bred in Ann Arbor, as someone who has grown up as a Michigan fan, as someone who goes to the university currently, is a current student, and as someone who wears the Block M on my chest, and I wear it proudly, guys, that was disgusting, that was appalling, and that was shocking. In the student section, I think, we did a fairly decent job. Like it was like we were the only source of crowd noise, you know? It was that bad. There's so many OSU, and it got worse progressively throughout the game until at the end they were literally running Ohio chants against us. They had that many fans inside, and again, guys, I just don't know what to say. Okay, I don't know what to say when it comes to that. If there's anything that can't happen, Michigan can get blown out 150-0. The big house better be filled up with maize and blue. I never want to see that. And to everyone watching this video, I offer up an open challenge. Okay, and I offer up two open challenges actually. 2026 Michigan Ohio State at the Shoe. As soon as tickets come out, I want every person watching this video to book a ticket, because Michigan fans need to go take over that stadium. We need to show Ohio State and that program what we're made of. So that's my challenge number one. Challenge number two, 2027 at the Big House, Michigan, Ohio State. I need that to be the most raucous environment that Michigan football has ever seen. Because what we saw out there today was genuinely disgusting. It was genuinely disgusting. And look, I think respectfully, we need the alumni, we need the local Michigan fans, we need the Ann Arbor people. We need people to show up, man. Too many people selling their ticket, and what happens there? You have a red wave inside the stadium. Look, this game, I'm not surprised at the result, okay? Like, you were hoping for some voodoo to happen for Michigan to win going into the game. I personally think Michigan was overranked coming into the game. For them to be 15, they haven't had a single impressive win, in my opinion, all year. I don't think they deserve to be 15, but coming into this game, we expected Ohio State to win, right? But for Michigan fans to let Ohio State fans take over the stadium, I never, ever want that to happen again. And as, you know, a student, this is one of my student experiences in the Big House, guys. And I don't know. I mean, I just think on behalf of everyone in the university, everyone who went to the university, and everyone who stands for what the university stands for, we just can't let that happen again, guys. We absolutely cannot let that happen again. There were times I feel like the Ohio State crowd was louder than Michigan. When Michigan's offense was on the field, they were louder. The Ohio State fans were louder than how loud the Michigan fans were when Ohio State's offense was on the field, if that makes any sense. So that's absolutely terrible, guys. But I issue everyone watching those two challenges. Because out of everything that happened in this game, that disgusted me to the core. It absolutely disgusted me to the core. Okay, but anyways, let's pivot a little bit. Let's focus on some stuff that's Michigan related and related to the game. Coming into the game, I was telling my friends, this is the main key to the game. You got to get pressure on Sayin, okay? You got to knock him off on his feet, and you have to protect Bryce. I mean, I was thinking if Ohio State comes out, and they're able to, Arvel Reese and the boys, if they're able to get early pressure on Bryce, knock him off his game, I thought it was going to be a long day for a true freshman quarterback playing in his first, huge rivalry game. Now, he played a pretty terrible game, and we'll get to that in a second. But I thought for the most job, Michigan, they did a decent job of protecting the pocket, at least. I thought they did a pretty decent job. But one thing I'll say, yeah, Jayshawn Barham, Derek Moore, and even on the interior with Rayshawn Benny, they did not live up to their predecessors in Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, obviously Hutch, David Ajabo, Josiah Stewart, Mike Morris, all those guys for the Jalen Harrell, all the impact that they created in this game, they did not live up to that. And Julian Sayin had time in that pocket to drop back, order McDonald's, get a burger, eat it, and then take a nap and then throw the ball. He had that much time in the pocket. So I think he lost the game there because, guys, Ryan Day for 364 days has been thinking, God, I should have thrown the ball more last year. Why did I try to beat Michigan at their own game? That's why Ohio State lost last year. And he's been thinking about that for 364 days. So if you didn't think Ohio State was going to come out guns blazing in this game, you're out of your mind. And you needed your best pass rushers to play better today, and they just didn't. They just didn't. And it's no slight on them. I think this was a problem that we saw all throughout the year. I'm not like necessarily surprised that this happened, because this has been a problem. Like there was like 2 or 3 games where like one game Barham completely wrecked, and then there were like 2 games where Derek Moore went off. Outside of that, I think that the pressure that we were generating, especially in the interior, it just was not up to standard. For this team to have an identity on the defensive line, on the defensive side of the ball, they were just not it this year. They're just not it this year, and that's got to change. I think the entire defense, I mean, this was not an elite defense. We knew that coming into this game. We expected better coming into the year for sure, but I don't think that this team was necessarily stout against the run. They gave up way too many first drive points. And then they were very soft when it comes to, short passing in the, in the middle zones, especially on 3rd and down, giving up the sticks. That's the problem we saw all year. And basically every good team we went up against, that problem reared its ugly head. So I think the defense took a step back this year. It's just not the elite Michigan defense we're accustomed to. That's one of the big reasons Michigan lost. That had to not be the case if you wanted to win this game. Because the offense wasn't going to go out and win you a game in a shootout. That was never going to happen. Something like last year probably had to happen. So, again, we just didn't get the job done getting to the quarterback. Julian Sain had too much time, and with those receivers, gonna absolutely shred you. And then look, on offense, I understand, I mentioned this before, losing Bredesen and losing Marshall in this game, that's huge. But respectfully, guys, respectfully to the offensive side, what on earth was that game plan, guys? If that's what emptying the playbook is, I have no words. I have no words. If that's what emptying the playbook was, I mean, you deserve to lose the game. Your best weapon in Andrew Marsh didn't touch the ball on offense this entire game. That's coaching malpractice. You didn't design any easy plays early in the game. Get easy pitch and catches for your freshman quarterback, even just 4 or 5 yards, for him to build some comfort, for him to build some rhythm. That's coaching malpractice. And finally, for a team's identity that's built around running the ball in snowy conditions that favors you, that favors the type of football that you try to run, you didn't have a plan. And not only that, you got outrushed by Ohio State. And that's, again, coaching malpractice. So I have no idea what the game plan was on offense. I mean, I think losing Bredesen and Marshall was huge, but again, you can't, for a program that's as big as Michigan, you cannot predicate your entire success on a side of the ball to 1 or 2 people. Sorry, you just can't. You absolutely just cannot. So, I mean, I thought our secondary did okay. Like, they didn't play great, but I mean, they weren't as bad as, we were on getting to the quarterback. I actually thought our run defense was quite stout in the first half. The second half, Ohio State just took over, churned out time of possession. They were the tougher team today, guys. They were absolutely the tougher team. And I want to get into some coaching staff talk really quickly, because this is now 2 straight years that you didn't meet the mark, okay? You don't get, at a program like Michigan, you don't get that many opportunities, okay? Last year, first year with a new coaching staff, right? And you get a pass because, number one, it's a transition year. Number two, you didn't get you didn't have a functioning offense. You didn't have a quarterback. You were basically Army and Navy running the ball down everyone's throat, hoping, praying that would somehow work. But you didn't have a functioning offense. And yes, that was the coaching staff's fault for not addressing that in the offseason, getting someone in the transfer portal. But you get a pass. First year, and you beat Ohio State in, the greatest upset this great rivalry has ever seen. And then you go out and beat Alabama in a bowl game. Like, yes, it was a bad season. I'll give you a pass, though. This season we had expectations, guys. The expectation was you make the college football playoffs. And this team fell short of that. And not only did they fall short of that, they lost every game that mattered this year. Okay? USC, you lost that game. Oklahoma, you got outclassed. Ohio State, you got out-dimensionally classed. Okay? Every other game, you played no competition. And you almost lost to Northwestern, by the way. I get 1 or 2 of those games can happen in a year. But still, that's from a coaching standpoint, I haven't seen anything inspiring enough for me to say that these are the guys that can help take Michigan forward and take them to the next level in this new NIL, college football playoffs era. Because I'll tell you what, next year, going into the season, the expectation is you are contending for a national championship. It's not you make the playoffs. It's not you're 6-5 and put yourself in a chance to beat Ohio State, or 6-6. You put yourself in a chance to beat Ohio State. No, it's none of that. You're contending for a national championship. The second year of Bryce Underwood, the number one recruit in the country. You have a second year of Andrew Marsh. You're bringing in Savion Hitter. You have Jordan Marshall coming off a huge year. You maybe have Justice Haynes. You have good weapons. You have reinforcements coming along in the form of Andrew Babalola on the offensive line. You have another year of development for the young guys. That offense next year has to look dramatically different than it did this year. Absolutely does. And on defense, there is zero excuse for showing up with a lackluster defense again next year. Again, this team's identity is in the trenches. If you want to be elite, you need, number one, an elite offensive line. And number two, you need an elite defensive line. I don't think Michigan possessed either this year. They did not deserve to be ranked 15 coming into this game, to be honest. Okay, to be honest. But yeah, coming into next year, the strengths, the identity of this team, of this program, and it's really been the identity of this program for the last 50 years since, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, right? The great Bo Schembechler. For that to continue to be the identity of the team, it's shocking, but you actually have to be elite at it if you want to be an elite program. And yeah, like I said, I think it's fair to call Sharon Moore's job into question this offseason. Again, I don't think Michigan fires him just for the sole fact that this team is young, and that's really the only excuse. But I wouldn't be mad at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like, I would actually be very, very okay with it. Like, this team did not show me anything inspiring throughout the year for me to instill any confidence. I mean, this is not like Harbaugh in the early years where we were kicking butt early on in the season. We kicked ass, okay? We kicked ass and just couldn't get the job done against Ohio State, right? Outside of a couple down years. That's not like how it was. I mean, this team, it doesn't look elite at all. I mean, it just doesn't. Like, if you have an identity, that identity needs to be your strength. And so, like I said, I think it's fair to call Sharon Moore's job into question. I don't think Michigan is going to fire him. I do think Michigan should consider a change in the defensive coordinator. I don't think Wink last year, the defense, remember, it wasn't even elite until the last couple games of the year, and you thought you'd turn things around, and then you come back out with whatever monstrosity that was this year. I would be okay, very okay with the change there. And then with the offensive coordinator, Chip Lindsey, like, I thought he did, like, his offensive concepts were good. I think we need better play from the offensive line next year, and I just think you need another development with another year, another offseason of development for Bryce, Andrew Marsh, and the other young guys. And I think you can have a very good offense going into next year. But like I said, Sharon Moore is on one of the hottest seats in college football heading into next year. If this team doesn't look like a national title contender immediately going into next year, we're going to have some problems, guys. We're going to have some problems that we're going to need to address internally. And I don't know. I think that there's nothing inspiring from the way Michigan is playing under Sharon Moore right now. Look, I get it. NIL recruiting, he's killing it, guys. He is killing it. And he wins me over in the media, right, with what he's saying. He says all the right things. But at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses, guys. And Michigan should be a perennial 10-win team at least. That is the expectation at this university, at this program, for what we stand for. The most wins of all time. That is what Michigan football stands for. And if we can't have standards here at the University of Michigan, then what are we doing, guys? I mean, what are we doing? So, again, this is the end of the year. Look, like I said, you expected this result to most likely happen. So I'm not overly upset about it. Very upset about the amount of scarlet and gray I saw in the crowd today. But it was the logical thing to happen. But evaluating the season as a whole, this was a failed season for the coaching staff. It was an absolute failure. So let's see if they can fix it up next year. Look, man, I'm excited to see what they do. I really hope it works. I really want it to work. I really want it to work for Sharon Moore, I'll tell you that. But if it doesn't, it doesn't, man. This is the University of Michigan. So with that being said, hey, one thing to end off on a good note. I caught a t-shirt at the game, so that's pretty cool. But anyways, guys, go blue. In terms of when I'm going to make the next video, I'll be honest, I really don't know. Had a really busy schedule, so don't know when I'm going to come out with the next recaps, but hopefully I start making them soon, because I'll tell you what, there's nothing I'd rather be doing. I love you guys a lot, and go blue.